Winning the Heisman Trophy is the highest honor in college football. It's the moment every kid dreams about. Standing on that stage, holding the most iconic trophy in the sport, knowing you were the best player in the country. But here's the truth nobody talks about. Winning the Heisman doesn't mean anything when you get to the NFL, because for some players, that moment is the peak. Today, we're breaking down Heisman Trophy winners who dominated college football but failed miserably in the NFL. And once you see why, you'll never look at the award the same again, because the gap between college football and the NFL is bigger than people realize. In college, you can dominate with raw talent, speed, and athleticism. In the NFL, everyone is fast, everyone is strong, everyone is smart, and if you have even one weakness, it gets exposed immediately, and that's exactly what happened to some of the biggest names in college football history. Let's start with Marcus Mariota. In 2014, Mariota had one of the cleanest seasons we've ever seen. Over 4,400 passing yards, nearly 800 rushing yards, 58 total touchdowns, and just 4 interceptions. He was surgical, efficient, and untouchable. He led Oregon to the national championship game and walked away with the Heisman. Then came the NFL. Drafted second overall by the Tennessee Titans, everything pointed toward him becoming a franchise quarterback, and early on, it looked like he would. In his very first NFL game, he threw 4 touchdowns all in the first half. He looked calm, athletic, and completely in control. But that version of Mariota didn't last. Defenses got faster, windows got tighter, and suddenly the same decisions that worked in college didn't work anymore. He struggled reading complex defenses, held on to the ball too long, and the offense slowed down. Then came the injuries, a fractured fibula, hamstring issues, nerve damage in his throwing arm. By 2019, the Titans had seen enough. They benched him for Ryan Tannehill, who immediately took them to the AFC Championship, and just like that, Mariota went from future superstar to backup, and he's been bouncing around the league ever since. And Mariota represents one of the biggest truths about the NFL. Being good isn't enough. You have to constantly adapt, and if you don't, the league moves on without you. But as disappointing as that was, he wasn't even the biggest quarterback taken in his own draft class. That would be Jameis Winston. At Florida State, Winston looked unstoppable. As a redshirt freshman, he threw for over 4,000 yards, 40 touchdowns, and led his team to a national championship. He wasn't just good, he was dominant. So when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers drafted him first overall, they expected greatness. Instead, they got chaos. Winston could make any throw on the field. A 40-yard bomb was easy, but the very next play would be a pick six. Turnovers became his identity. He led the league in interceptions multiple times, and in 2019, he did something almost impossible: 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions. Think about that. One of the most productive seasons ever, and one of the most reckless at the same time. Tampa gave up on him and replaced him with Tom Brady. Same roster, Super Bowl, that told you everything. Winston has had chances since in New Orleans and Cleveland.
Came there, took the same team, and went to the Super Bowl.
But the story has never changed. Flashes of brilliance followed by mistakes that kill you. And in the NFL, consistency matters more than potential. And speaking of chaos, let's talk about Johnny Manziel. Johnny Football wasn't just a player, he was a phenomenon. At Texas A&M, he played like backyard football at the highest level, scrambling, improvising, making plays that didn't even make sense. In 2012, he threw for 3,700 yards, ran for 1,400 more, and became the first freshman ever to win the Heisman. He beat Alabama, he shocked the world, and overnight, he became one of the most famous players in sports. But the warning signs were already there. Off the field, Manziel was living like a celebrity. Parties, headlines, distractions. By the time the NFL draft came around, teams weren't questioning his talent. They were questioning his commitment. The Cleveland Browns took a chance anyway, and it fell apart almost instantly. In 2 seasons, Manziel started just 8 games. He struggled to read defenses, couldn't stay in the pocket, and looked completely lost in structured NFL offenses. But the bigger issue was everything off the field. Missed meetings, late arrivals, ignoring coaches, and treating the league like it was optional. At one point, he was in Vegas the night before a game wearing a disguise to avoid being recognized, and that tells you everything. By 2016, he was out of the league. No comeback, no redemption, just gone. And Manziel might be the clearest example of this. Talent can get you to the NFL, but discipline is what keeps you there. Now compare that to someone who had the opposite problem, Tim Tebow. Tebow was one of the most beloved players in college football history. At Florida, he won a Heisman, 2 national championships, and built a legacy off leadership, toughness, and pure willpower. He wasn't flashy, but he was unstoppable. In the NFL, everything changed. His throwing mechanics were rough, long release, inconsistent accuracy, awkward motion, and defenses knew it. But somehow, he still found a way to win. In 2011, 2011, Tebow led the Denver Broncos on a miracle run with multiple fourth-quarter comebacks, capped off by an overtime playoff win against the Steelers. For a moment, it felt like he was proving everyone wrong, but the NFL doesn't reward moments, it rewards consistency and sustainability. The Broncos signed Peyton Manning, and just like that, it was over. Tebow bounced from team to team, never getting another real shot. Because in the NFL, you can't survive on leadership alone, you have to throw the football at an elite level. Now what happens when you can do everything? That was Robert Griffin III. RG3 was electric. At Baylor, he combined elite passing with game-breaking speed. Over 4,000 passing yards, nearly 700 rushing, 47 total touchdowns. He won the Heisman and became the second overall pick in 2012. And as a rookie, he was unbelievable. 20 passing touchdowns, just 5 interceptions, 800 rushing yards. He took Washington to the playoffs and looked like the future of the NFL. Then one moment changed everything. In a playoff game against Seattle, RG3 tore his ACL and LCL, and he was never the same. The speed, the confidence, the explosiveness, gone. His mechanics changed, his decision-making slowed down, and the player who once looked unstoppable became hesitant. By year 3, he was benched. And just like that, a generational talent became a what could have been. And that's another brutal reality. Sometimes it's not about talent or effort. Sometimes it's just one injury that changes everything forever. And then there's Sam Bradford. Bradford had everything. At Oklahoma, he threw for 50 touchdowns and won the Heisman. He was accurate, smart, and pro-ready. The Rams took him first overall, and he even won Offensive Rookie of the Year. But after that, it was injuries. Constant injuries. ACL tears, shoulder issues, setbacks every single year. Every time he started to build momentum, it reset. New team, new system, new injury. Teams kept believing in him, trading for him, paying him, but it never worked. Because in the NFL, talent doesn't matter if you can't stay on the field. Now let's add another name that fits this perfectly, Troy Smith. At Ohio State, Smith was incredible. He won the Heisman in 2006 and looked like the future at quarterback. But in the NFL, his size, system, and limitations got exposed quickly. He never became a starter and quietly faded out of the league. Another reminder that college dominance doesn't guarantee anything. And then there's Eric Crouch. At Nebraska, he was electric, a dual threat weapon who won the Heisman in 2001. But when he got to the NFL, teams didn't even know what position to play him at. Quarterback, receiver, special teams, that uncertainty alone ended his career before it even really began. Now let's talk about a different kind of failure, Matt Leinart. At USC, Leinart was a winner, Heisman Trophy, national championships, dominant college career. But when he entered the NFL, the flaws showed up. Limited mobility, average arm strength, questions about work ethic. He lost his starting job early and never got it back. Because in the NFL, talent gets you drafted, work ethic keeps you there. And if you don't outwork everyone else, you get replaced immediately. Now shifting to running backs, Ron Dane. Dane left Wisconsin as the all-time leading rusher in college football history. He was a powerhouse, 250 pounds of pure force. The Giants drafted him to dominate, but he came into the league out of shape. He couldn't adapt, couldn't catch, couldn't evolve, and in a league that was getting faster and more versatile, he got left behind. And that's something we see all the time. If your playstyle doesn't evolve with the league, you become outdated fast. Then there's one of the biggest what-ifs ever, Andre Ware. Ware put up insane numbers at Houston, over 4,600 yards and 46 touchdowns. He was ahead of his time, a mobile quarterback with a cannon arm. But when he got to the NFL, it was the wrong system, wrong team, no development. He barely played, and his career never even got a real chance to begin. And sometimes that's the difference between success and failure. Not talent, not effort, just the situation you land in. Now let's talk about history. Archie Griffin, the only player to ever win the Heisman twice. At Ohio State, he was the definition of consistency. Nearly 6,000 rushing yards and 31 straight 100-yard games. But in the NFL, he was average. Not bad, just not special. Because what made him great in college wasn't enough at the next level. And that might be the biggest takeaway from this entire video. The traits that make you dominant in college don't always translate to the NFL. Speed looks different, defenses are smarter, and everyone is just as talented as you are. And that's the harsh reality of all of this. The Heisman Trophy doesn't measure NFL success, it measures dominance at one level, but the NFL is a completely different game. Faster, smarter, more demanding. Every weakness gets exposed, every flaw gets punished, and for every Heisman winner who becomes a legend, there are just as many who become a lesson. So next time you see a player holding that trophy, remember this. That might be the best moment of their career. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to Playbook, drop a like, and let me know in the comments which Heisman winner do you think was the biggest NFL disappointment, and I'll catch you in the next one.